My name is Emily Parker, and I've been married to my husband, Daniel, for almost 12 years now. Over that time, we've been through all kinds of highs and lows together. Life has tested us with financial struggles, job changes, family drama, and even health scares. Yet through it all, Daniel has been my rock. He's the kind of man who never complains, even when things are hard. He carries responsibilities with quiet strength, and somehow, he still finds ways to make me smile, even on my worst days. This year, his birthday was approaching, and I found myself reflecting on just how much he's done for our family. Daniel is the kind of husband and father who puts everyone else first. He's up before sunrise, making sure the kids' lunches are packed. He works long hours at his job, comes home tired, but still plays catch with our son, Jason, or listens to our daughter, Lily, talk about her day. He never once complains about his sacrifices. But I realized something painful. He never really does anything for himself. The thought bothered me deeply. Birthdays are supposed to be about celebrating the person, making them feel special. And in the past, I admit, we'd had simple celebrations for him. A cake at home, maybe dinner out. Nothing extraordinary. But this year, I wanted to change that. I wanted to give Daniel something unforgettable. Something that would show him just how much he meant to me, to our kids, and to everyone who had ever been touched by his kindness. So I began planning. It started small at first, a few ideas scribbled down in my notebook. Dinner? A weekend getaway? A surprise party? But none of it felt big enough. Daniel wasn't the type to be impressed by material gifts or flashy gestures. He valued meaning. I needed to do something that spoke to his heart. And then one night, as I sat in bed thinking about it, I had an idea. Not just an idea, a plan that grew bigger and bigger until I couldn't stop thinking about it. I decided that for Daniel's birthday, I was going to organize a surprise celebration that brought together every important piece of his life. His family, his closest friends, even some people he hadn't seen in years, but who had been shaped by his kindness. I wanted to gather them all in one place and remind him of just how many lives he had touched. Of course, it was going to take a lot of planning and secrecy. I started with the location. It couldn't just be in our living room like always. No, this needed to be somewhere special, somewhere he wouldn't expect. After searching, I finally found a rustic lodge on the edge of town, surrounded by tall pine trees and overlooking a small lake. It had a wide hall with wooden beams across the ceiling, twinkling lights strung along the walls, and plenty of space for people to gather. It felt cozy yet grand, the perfect setting. Then came the invitations. I reached out quietly to his siblings first. His sister, Caroline, gasped with excitement when I told her the plan. "Emily, this is perfect. He never lets us spoil him, but he deserves this more than anyone." His younger brother, Michael, was equally enthusiastic, promising to help with decorations and music. From there, I reached out to some of his old friends, people from high school, college, and even his early days at work. Some of them he hadn't seen in over a decade. One by one, they agreed to come. Every single person said the same thing in different words. "Of course I'll be there. Daniel is one of the best people I've ever known." Hearing that filled my heart. But I didn't stop there. I also thought of people Daniel had helped over the years. Like Mr. Thompson, our elderly neighbor, whom Daniel used to shovel snow for every winter without ever being asked. Or the coach from Jason's baseball team, who once told me Daniel's encouragement had kept him coaching during a rough time. Even Lily's piano teacher, who said Daniel's quiet support meant the world to her when she went through a divorce. All of them said yes. As the list grew, so did my excitement. But with excitement came fear. What if Daniel didn't like surprises? What if it overwhelmed him? What if I forgot something important? I stayed up late at night worrying over details, the food, the music, the decorations, even the seating arrangements. I wanted everything to be perfect. The kids were in on it too. Jason, who was 11, grinned from ear to ear when I told him. "Dad's gonna flip," he whispered, barely able to keep the secret. Lily, who was 9, started making handmade decorations with colored paper, insisting that she wanted to be part of making it special. The days leading up to the party were some of the busiest of my life. I juggled work, kids, and the never-ending list of preparations. Caroline and Michael came over often to help. Together we baked, tested recipes, strung up decorations, and rehearsed how the big reveal would go. I even arranged for a slideshow of Daniel's life. Old photos from his childhood, our wedding day, the kids being born, family vacations. Just the thought of it made me tear up. Finally, the day arrived. I woke up early, my heart pounding with nerves and excitement. The plan was simple. I told Daniel that we were just going to dinner as a family. He didn't suspect anything. In fact, he joked about how he was too old for big celebrations. I smiled to myself, knowing he had no idea what was waiting for him. When evening came, I drove him out toward the lodge, making small talk to keep him from catching on. The kids were practically bouncing in the back seat, trying not to give it away. As we pulled up to the rustic building, Daniel looked confused. "This doesn't look like a restaurant," he said, raising an eyebrow. "Just trust me," I whispered, squeezing his hand. We walked up to the door, and the moment he stepped inside, the lights flickered on, and a chorus of voices erupted. "Happy birthday, Daniel." The room was packed, family, friends, neighbors, coworkers, all smiling, clapping, and cheering. Daniel froze, his eyes wide in shock. For a long moment, he just stood there, overwhelmed. Then I saw it, the tears in his eyes. He pulled me close, his voice breaking as he whispered, "Emily, I can't believe you did this." The night unfolded like something out of a dream. People hugged him, laughed with him, shared stories about him. The kids gave him handmade gifts, proudly showing off their decorations. The slideshow played, and as images of his life filled the screen, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Even Daniel's old college roommate, Mark, stood up to tell a story about how Daniel had once helped him through one of the darkest times in his life. Over and over, people spoke about the kind of man Daniel was: selfless, kind, dependable, always putting others before himself. And I watched as Daniel, the man who so often hid his emotions, let himself feel loved in a way he hadn't before. At one point, he turned to me, his voice thick with emotion. "Emily, this is the best gift anyone has ever given me. Not because of the party, but because you reminded me of what really matters. You reminded me that I'm not alone." Those words stayed with me. That night, as the celebration wound down, Daniel blew out the candles on his cake with Lily and Jason by his side. And as I looked around the room filled with people who cared for him, I realized something important. This wasn't just a birthday party. It was a testament to the life Daniel had built. A life filled with love, kindness, and community. And in that moment, I knew I had given him exactly